Welcome to today's episode. Today we check in on Town Willy, unanimously considered the dumbest man in the universe, as he investigates the case of the stolen anchor.
Town Willy was not known for his intelligence. In fact, if the residents of Town held a contest for the dumbest man alive, Willy would win first, second, and third place. He'd also be disqualified for trying to eat the trophy. What Willy lacked in brains, he made up for with impressive lung capacity, perfect for shouting at clouds, fish, and occasionally his own reflection. His weathered face was perpetually scrunched into a scowl beneath a ratty captain's hat that hadn't been washed since the Reagan administration. On this particular Tuesday morning, Willy stomped onto the deck of his boat, the sinking Lincoln, ready to begin another day of not catching fish and complaining about it loudly to anyone unfortunate enough to be within earshot. What in the barnacle-infested blazes? Willy's voice echoed across the marina, sending sleeping seagulls flapping into the air. My anchor. Stolen. Thievery. Piracy. And larceny. Willy's prized anchor, a rusty piece of metal he'd found washed up on shore years ago, was missing from its usual spot on the deck. Or so he thought. This has Lighthouse Larry written all over it, Willy muttered, narrowing his eyes toward the small lighthouse at the end of the pier where his arch-nemesis lived. Their feud had begun 3 summers ago when Larry had won the annual Town fishing derby with a fish that was clearly smaller than Willy's catch. The fact that Willy's fish turned out to be an old rubber boot was, in his mind, completely irrelevant. Grabbing his detective kit, a magnifying glass with no lens, and a notebook filled with crayon drawings of boats, Willy set off to solve the case of the missing anchor. His first stop, interrogating the local wildlife. Listen here, you beady-eyed sky rats. Willy yelled at a group of seagulls pecking at a discarded sandwich. I know you saw something. Confess. The seagulls, unimpressed with his interrogation techniques, continued eating their breakfast. Playing it cool, eh? Willy scribbled in his notebook, birds acting suspicious. Possibly in cahoots with Larry. Next, Willy approached the water's edge, cupped his hands around his mouth, and bellowed into the harbor. Attention, all fish. This is official boat business. If you've seen my anchor, swim to the surface immediately. After waiting exactly 12 seconds for the fish to respond, Willy huffed. Useless. The whole lot of them. He made another note, fish refusing to cooperate. Probably bribed. By midday, Willy had questioned 3 children building a sandcastle, potential anchor burial site, accused a hot dog vendor of harboring anchor-related secrets, and tried to deputize a confused golden retriever to help with his investigation. It was time to confront his nemesis directly. Larry was tending to his small garden outside the lighthouse when Willy appeared, puffing from the exertion of walking up the slight incline. Larry, Willy bellowed, despite standing 3 feet away. Where's my anchor? Larry sighed, putting down his watering can. Good afternoon to you too, William. Don't play innocent with me. I know you took it. You've always been jealous of my superior anchoring capabilities. I assure you, I don't have your anchor, Larry replied calmly. Have you checked the back of your boat? Last time you thought I stole something, your fishing rod was just tangled in your beard. Ha, a likely story. Willy pulled out his lens-less magnifying glass and began examining Larry's lighthouse with exaggerated movements. I'll find the evidence. No anchor can hide from Town Willy. Larry watched as Willy began crawling on all 4s around the lighthouse, occasionally pausing to sniff the ground. His next brilliant idea, setting traps for the anchor thief. By late afternoon, Willy had set up an elaborate system of ropes, buckets, and fishing nets around the marina. His centerpiece was a cardboard box propped up by a stick with a sign reading "Definitely not a trap for anchor thieves," and underneath it, a smaller sign clarifying this means you, Larry. As the sun began to set, Willy sat in hiding behind a trash can, waiting for his trap to catch the culprit. Unfortunately, his hiding skills were on par with his detective abilities, as his continuous muttering of "come to Papa, you anchor-stealing scoundrel" was audible to everyone walking past. After 3 hours, and accidentally trapping 2 tourists and a confused pelican, Willy decided it was time for his most desperate measure. Using crayons and the backs of restaurant placemats, Willy created dozens of wanted posters featuring a crude drawing of an anchor, with legs running away, and the caption, "Have you seen this anchor? Reward, I free punch in the face." As he was taping his 15th poster to a lamppost, he overheard 2 fishermen talking. "Did you see that old fool Willy today? Running around looking for his anchor when it's hanging off the back of his boat clear as day. That man couldn't find his nose if it wasn't stuck to his face." Willy froze. Could it be? Had the anchor been at the back of his boat all along? Impossible, he declared to no one in particular. But a seed of doubt had been planted. Rushing back to the sink in Lincoln, Willy circled to the stern, where, sure enough, his precious anchor hung from its chain, exactly where he had moved it the previous evening, after deciding the front of the boat was getting too heavy. For a brief moment, clarity dawned on Willy's perpetually confused face. Then, just as quickly, it was replaced by his standard scowl. "Larry," he yelled toward the lighthouse, "I know what you did. You put my anchor back after stealing it. You think you're so clever." From his garden, Larry shook his head with a mixture of amusement and resignation. Willy stomped around his boat, chest puffed out in what he believed was victory. Nobody outsmarts Boat Town Willy. Nobody. As night fell over Boat Town Marina, Willy sat on his deck, polishing his recovered anchor and plotting his revenge against Larry for a crime that never happened, because in Willy's world, he was always right, even when he was spectacularly wrong. And that, perhaps, was the secret to his peculiar brand of happiness.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Dumbest Man in the Universe. Stay tuned for further episodes featuring your favorite idiot, Boat Town Willy. Please like and subscribe.